Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Kat. I am the Nurse Flipper. I am a full-time reseller. I quit nursing back at the end of February, and I love doing these research videos to see what sells for high dollar on eBay. So I did one on teapots before. I actually did two, and you asked me to do some lower cost that you might actually be able to find. I know some of those high dollar ones are definitely few and far between. So today I am going to show you a little over 40 teapots that sell between $100 and $150. So let's go ahead and get started. I do want to remind those of you that might be new that none of these are my actual items. I do have videos on my high dollar what sold that were items that I sold, but these are just research. So these are other people's listings. All of these were on eBay, and I will tell you if they were auction or buy it now. So first up is actually a pattern that I have sold, but I have not found the teapot. So I knew that this pattern is out there, and I actually have run across it a few times. So I think it's out there quite a bit. So this is a vintage 1941 to 1947 Franciscan ware desert rose teapot. This was made in California, USA. This one sold for $125. You can see on the bottom, these are very, very clearly marked. I will tell you as well, the Franciscan apple pattern is also something to keep an eye out for. All right, next, and I'm surprised we didn't run across this more in our videos, but I think it's more their rare tumblers and coffee mugs that sell for high dollar. And I do have coffee mugs on my list. So up next is an item from Starbucks. This is a 2021 Starbucks Black Cat Magic Teapot. This one sold for $149.99. This one was out of China. So keep your eye out for Starbucks stuff though, because there's some mugs that sell for hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Up next is a name that I know very, very well because he's very well known for ornaments. And I just did a high dollar what sold video on ornaments last week, but this is a teapot. This is a Christopher Radko Bunny Trails Dapper Hare Teapot Figurine Spring and Easter Rare. So it sold for $150. You can see that this one did have the box. I do not have any pictures of the bottom, unfortunately, so I'm unsure if this one was marked. All right, if you know me, you know I love that weird and crazy looking stuff. And weird and crazy sells. So this is a McGovney Camerot Modern Pop Art Ceramic Teapot Set. Really, really cool. Look at this up close. You can see the legs on those teacups. Really, really different looking, has geometric. And you can see here on the bottom, this was marked CATAWBA 95 on the bottom, so you would be able to identify it. Here is another weird one. So this is really mid-century modern, geometric, and definitely would have caught my eye. This is a Studio Salins Teapot France, postmodern MCM vintage original unused teapot. Again, very, very clearly marked on the bottom, so it would be very easy to identify. So I think one of the things throughout all of my research videos is that you need to look out for stuff that is different. If it is weird, if it is strange, if it is unusual, look it up. There are, of course, those traditional floral teapots that you will see in this video, but I feel like it would definitely be easier to train your eye to look for the unusual. Of course, myself, I flip over almost every teapot and teacup I come across, so you could also do that. So up next is a Penzo Zimbabwe African Pottery Teapot Safari. This was sold in the US, so I believe they will be able to be found here. Here is an up close, really, really cool hand-painted zebra, and you can also see here on the bottom, it is very clearly marked. And again, this one sold for $150.22 plus shipping. I have to say this next one is one of my favorite teapots that I came across throughout doing all 3 of my teapot videos. This one is just really, really cool and really different. This is a studio art pottery by Ben Gufford Ceramics. Super cool. Look at the artwork on this. It had to take a really long time. And again, this one is signed on the bottom. So if you saw this and flipped it over, you would know what to look up. All right, here comes more Christmas / ornament brand stuff. This I did not know existed either. This is a Department 56 Santa Picture teapot. This one sold for $142. Again, marked on the bottom very, very clearly Department 56, so you would be able to look it up. All right, I always look at stuff with purple pansies and violets. I don't know why, but I feel like they sell pretty well. And this next one is a brand that I am not familiar with. This next one is Bayreuth. So this is a Royal Bayreuth pansy teapot, figural porcelain antique. It sold for $150. You can see on the bottom here, it does have a stamp, so it is clearly marked and you would be able to identify it. Next is a chintz flower pattern. So the chintz is very, very closely done together flowers. Sorry, wasn't sure how really to say that. But this one is a brand that we have seen a couple of times before when it comes to teapots and teacups. This is a Royal Winton Summertime Seville decorative teapot, Wright, Tyndale, and Van Roden. This one sold for $149. And here on the bottom, very, very clearly written with Royal Winton as well as the artist names. Up next is another mid-century modern piece. Definitely selling very well right now from what I am seeing. This one is a vintage mid-century modern dance Coben style tea kettle, teapot, yellow enamel rare, sold for $149. I have sold some dance plates and platters for really high. This one was not marked on the bottom, so hopefully if you found this, you could use Google Lens. It will have catch your eye and you would be able to know what it was worth. And then we have a studio pottery pitcher coming in at $168. This is a really beautiful teapot and I love pottery. So this is CATAWBA Valley Pottery, North Carolina, sold for $168. It was an auction, but they got one bid. Here on the bottom, you can see that it is signed. It does say Vail, North Carolina, so you would be able to look it up by that. All right, the next one is not mine, but I have sold this exact teapot, and I believe mine sold up above $200. And I will also tell you that this teapot is not marked. I used Google Lens to identify this, and it looks like it is still selling well. I sold mine last year. So this is Bat Trang Hanoi Vietnamese pottery, cobalt blue dragonfly, sold for $150. Here's the bottom just to show you it is not marked. I actually found a whole set of the Bat Trang Hanoi in an online auction and it all sold very, very well and it sold fast. So keep this pattern in your mind because I found some, and after I found mine, Jocelyn Crazy Lamp Lady, I believe, found some up in Pennsylvania as well. All right, we have seen Fitz and Floyd pieces in a lot of my research videos, so it's definitely a brand to watch out for. Most of it is going to be bread and butter, and when I say that, I mean pieces that sell for like 20, 30, 40 bucks. But when you find those rare pieces, they can sell for good money. This is a 1992 Fitz and Floyd Victorian Mother Bunny Rabbit 40-ounce teapot. They did put very rare. This one sold for $155. You can see on the bottom, Fitz and Floyd is typically marked with FF, so keep that in mind. Next, we have a Wedgwood, but this one is actually just a regular floral teapot. So it's not the Queensware that we have been seeing. It is not the Jasperware we have been seeing. This one is a Wedgwood Williamsburg bone china Cuckoo England teapot. This one sold for $149.99, and you can see on the bottom that it is clearly marked. All right, next is a brand that if you do not know it, I suggest you learn and keep your eye out for these. They are always marked. They are very, very high quality, and pretty much everything made by them sells for good money. So this is a rare La Creuset rose quartz berry tea for one. You can see on the top of the teapot, it does say La Crusade. This was an auction, sold for $100. One bid is all you need, and absolutely great sale. So to those of you who keep asking me, what should I start my auction at? I will tell you, you should start your auction at the least amount you're willing to take, because just like you just saw, a lot of times you might only get one bid. Sometimes you don't get any. So auctions are definitely not something that I do regularly, but they are something that is good when you have a rare item and that brand or that exact item is in high demand. If it is an item that is not selling frequently or a brand that is not very popular, I suggest doing your listings, buy it now. Up next is a brand that I have found quite a few pieces from. Most of them are bread and butter, but some of them are worth quite a bit more. So this is an RS Prussia Royal Vienna antique teapot, hand-painted magnolia flowers. I love magnolias. I actually have one in my yard. This one sold for $159.99, and you can see it up close here. Beautiful, beautiful hand-painted design. And you can see on the bottom, it is marked RS Prussia. So if you were to find this out in the wild, you would be able to look it up. All right, I just said a couple of minutes ago about picking up stuff with purple violets and purple pansies. Up next is a Limoges Royal China. This is actually a chocolate pot that is not a teapot. So when you see these tall, slender pots, those are chocolate pots. This one again was an auction, again with only one bid, $159, and you can see on the bottom here, it was clearly marked. All right, so up next is an Ansley, and this brings to the point I want to make sure you guys understand that just because you find these brands, it does not mean they will sell this high. These prices are high to these individual pieces. There are some Ansleys that sell for hundreds. I actually think we saw some for thousands in my teacup video, but not all of them do. So this is an Ansley Pembroke teapot. And the lid, this one again, another auction with one bid. So remember, started at the lowest amount you're willing to take. This one sold for $150, and you can again see on the bottom that this was an Ansley reproduction of their own design from the 18th centuries, which is pretty cool, and that is a pretty good sale. All right, a brand I honestly hadn't thought about in a while, and one of the reasons is I feel this brand is super popular right now. I think it would be pretty hard to find these for lower cost, but you never know, so I definitely want to show it to you. This is a FIESTAWARE Lilac teapot, 44 ounce, excellent condition. This little teapot sold for $150. They did not have a picture of the bottom, but most FIESTAWARE is going to be marked on the bottom. And I think what probably made this one go so high would be the color. If there are any FIESTAWARE collectors watching, definitely let us know if you know why this one went so high. All right, so when I've done these videos, the miniatures kind of blow me away because they are tiny. This time, this is a replacement part. It is only the teapot lid, only the lid. This teapot cover lid was Royal Copenhagen. Oh, I don't know if they identified it by Google Lens or if they had the teapot and the teapot broke, but this lid sold on auction for $157.49. plus shipping. You can see on the inside of the lid there was writing that said one of 370, which they did put in their title. I do not see Royal Copenhagen written on here anywhere, so you would be able, or you would need to be able to identify what pattern this came from. Hopefully Google Lens would help with that. Up next is Sears Merry Mushrooms. There are a lot of Sears Merry Mushrooms that sell for high. So definitely know this pattern, know Sears, and the vintage stuff can sell for good money. This is a vintage Merry Mushroom tea kettle teapot with original box. It sold for $159.99. On the bottom here, you can see it actually only has a sticker that says made in Japan. So if you found one of these used, it would probably be something unmarked. So look at that mushroom pattern and try to remember it. We have some more pottery, and some more pottery that I think is really, really cool. This is a Selfridge Pottery original style teapot. contemporary piece. You can see this was probably hand molded as well as hand painted. And on the bottom here, it's actually on the outside of the teapot, not the actual bottom, but you can see that it is signed, so you would be able to identify it. And then we have some Mary Englebright. So this is another name that you should know. I have found some of Mary Englebright's pillows, but this is a teapot. This is Mary Englebright Cherries Oh So Bright teapot canister from 2000. It sold for $150. Here on the bottom you can see it does say Mary Englebright, so you would be able to identify these if you found them out in the wild. And then we have a brand that was quite present in the high dollar teapot video, and I wanted to show you because just the name doesn't always necessitate big dollars. So this is a Cardew Blue Wood Manton Titan Flueback fireplace teapot. Super cute with like the blue willow ware around the fireplace. This one sold for $158. So just because you see Cardew and Cardew designs, do not automatically assume it's going to be worth hundreds of dollars. It might be worth a little bit less. All right. This brand is Like La Crusade. This is another one to keep an eye out for. They do a lot of cast iron cookware, and most of it sells for good money. This is a Staub cast iron tea kettle, dark blue, made in France. This one sold for $159. So in addition to teapots, keep your eye out for tea kettles because some of them can be quite valuable as well. This next one to me is pretty plain. It was an auction. It had a lot of bids. This is a Two's Company ceramic teapot tree bark bird. This one had 39 bids, sold for $162.50. You can see on the bottom here, it is clearly marked Two's Company, so you would be able to identify it. Next up is a brand I know, and I have sold multiple pieces for hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Keep an eye out for this name as well as this series by them because it is big money. I sold the Spice Rack. I actually sold 2 of them for over $300. So this is Lenox the Village. You can see it is cute little houses. This is the Teapot Creamer and Sugar Bowl, and it sold for $175. They did not include a picture of the bottom, but I know from experience all of these Lenox pieces are marked. They very clearly say Lenox the Village, and most of them have the year on them as well. Next is some Fitz and Floyd, and it's not like the Fitz and Floyd that I'm used to. If I just looked at this teapot, I wouldn't have thought, oh, that's a Fitz and Floyd like I do with some of their other stuff. This is a Fitz and Floyd Colosseum Rome and Italy limited edition. This is 1 of 5,000. It is a large teapot, sold for $175. Again, here on the bottom, very clearly marked. So even though I wouldn't have known this was Fitz and Floyd, once I turned it over, I would have been able to identify that. This next teapot is super cute. So one of the things in the teapots has been Disney stuff. It has been nursery rhymes. Things similar to that remind people of their childhood can go very high. This is a vintage Hull Little Red Riding teapot. How cute is that? And this one was another auction and another one with 1 bid. This one sold for $145. On the bottom here, you can see it is only marked USA. So in order to identify this as Hull, you would need to identify it using Google Lens, or if you looked up Little Red Riding Hood teapot, hopefully you would be able to find this and know who the maker was. Next is a really cute Royal Doulton. This is Royal Doulton Bramley Hedge. This one was an auction. It had 4 bids, went to $164.06. You can see up close, this is super cute with the mice eating at the table. It does say Bramley Head on the lid, or Bramley Hedge on the lid, and you can see it is clearly marked on the bottom. All right, I showed you the Merry Mushrooms, but now there is more Sears. So definitely keep your eye out for vintage Sears items. This is a vintage retro Kitsch Neil the Frog, Sears and Roebuck, 1970s. This one sold for $165. This is another very, very cute little teapot. And you can see on the bottom, it is clearly marked, so you would be able to look it up pretty easily. Are you ready for a tea tiny thing that will blow your mind? The miniature stuff, and this is not an actual teapot. I will give you that disclaimer. But again, when I'm doing these research videos and they have the keyword that I'm looking for, and it's something that I really think that I should bring to your attention, I do. So this one is a mint rare retired James Avery blue and white floral. This is a teapot charm. Look at it in between the fingers. It is marked. You can clearly read that it is Avery. This one was an auction. It had 6 bids and sold for $172.50 for this tiny, tiny, tiny teapot. Next is a brand that I actually run across quite frequently at the thrift store. I also have gotten it from estate sales, but I actually see this brand more at the thrift store than I do anywhere else. So this one is definitely out there. This is a Johnson Brothers Red Rose Bouquet teapot. This was an auction, had 11 bids and sold for $167.50. Here on the bottom, you can see clearly marked Johnson Brothers, so you would be able to look it up. Now with Johnson Brothers, most of their pieces are bread and butter, but again, with a lot of these China brands, the serving pieces are where the money's at. So the teapot, the creamer, the sugar, serving platters, serving bowls, all of the bigger serving pieces typically will sell for quite a bit more than just plates or bowls, for example. All right, up next is a Royal Albert. And again, remember, we saw Royal Albert in the higher dollar, but I want you to see that they are not all high dollar. This is a pretty good sale though, coming in at $152. This is a Lady Carlyle 5-cup teapot. This one was an auction, sold for $152.50 with 12 bids. It is really hard to see on this picture. The seller's picture actually was pretty out of focus, but it is marked Royal Albert and it does say it is Lady Carlyle. Up next is a very, very pretty little teapot. This one is Rosa Porcelain, Czech Republic, 24 karat gold trim. This one sold for $159.83. Again, on the bottom, you can see it was very, very clearly marked. This one isn't overly impressive to me, but it definitely fetched a good price. All right, next is a Wedgwood, and Wedgwood has so many different looks and styles and patterns. You have to try and find the exact pattern that you have to know what it is worth. This is a Wedgwood China Strawberry and Vine White Bone Teapot. This one sold, buy it now, for $168.71, so an absolutely great price. Up next is a really, really cool Sadler teapot. Not something I would think of as traditional Sadler, but this one is definitely cool. This is a James Sadler Sherlock Holmes Hound of Baskerville from the 1980s. This one sold for $169. This teapot just looks cool, so I would hope this would catch your eye if you saw it out in the wild. Here is the bottom, so you can clearly see that it is marked and you would be able to identify it. Next is a Napco. And this is the first Napco that we have seen on the teapot videos. This one is really, really cute. This is a vintage Napco Yellow Miss Cutie Pie. This one sold on auction with 3 bids for $155.50. You can see here on the bottom, it even says who it is of, as far as like, who is this cute little girl. It says Miss Cutie Pie in parentheses. It does say Japan, fine china, hand painted. I do not see Napco on there, so I'm assuming though if you search for Miss Cutie Pie Japan, you would be able to see which company produced it. This next one is something that always catches my eye because it's kind of like pottery, and I definitely take a second look at anything that is hand painted. This is a Lilac ceramic hand painted blue mosaic, made in Tunisia. So again, with where they're made, if they're made in Italy, France, Germany, I take a closer look. This one's made in Tunisia. I don't see that often, so that would definitely make me take a second look. Here on the bottom, you can see it does say made in Tunisia, Lilac ceramic stoneware. And then we have another Franciscan pottery. If you do not know, Franciscan pottery is definitely something to keep an eye out for. Again, your serving pieces and bigger pieces are going to sell for more money. I sold a Franciscan cookie jar for a couple $100. This one up next is very, very pretty. I absolutely love this pattern. This is Franciscan California poppy flower. This one is from the 1950s and it sold for $159.98. And you can see on the bottom here, it is marked. All of the Franciscan pieces I have found have been marked, so they're very, very easy to identify. This next one is somebody that we have seen. Definitely somebody to keep an eye out for. Everything she makes that I have seen sells for pretty good money. So this one is a Mackenzie Childs Butterfly Garden 2-quart teapot or tea kettle. Really, really pretty. You can see inside those butterflies that checkerboard pattern, which is very, very traditional for Mackenzie Childs, and this one sold for $159.50. Now you can see on the bottom that it does say Mackenzie Childs. Very, very easy to identify. Next is a brand that I have heard. I do not find a ton, but this teapot is really cool and I definitely would have given it a second look. This is a Villeroy and Boch Acapulco. New, never used, made in Luxembourg. This one sold for $139.99. And again, here on the bottom, they have the name Villeroy and Boch. They also have the pattern. So if you were to find this teapot, you would simply type in Villeroy and Boch Acapulco teapot and a search would come up on eBay. And if you filter to sold, you would see this exact item. All right. We have another haul. This one is not the traditional haul that I am used to, but it's a very, very traditional teapot. This is Hall China McCormick teapot. It does have the infuser. It sold on auction with 23 bids for $154. You can see here on the bottom of the teapot, it does say McCormick Tea, Baltimore, Maryland, made in the USA, so it would be very easy to identify. All right, next is going to be the last one on this video. So I'm trying to make these research videos a little bit shorter, about that 30-minute mark, just so that they are a little bit more tolerable as far as length, and they're a little bit easier for me to edit as well. So we saw Franz in the high dollar. It actually had some of the highest dollar. So again, don't take a name and just assume that it's going to be worth hundreds and hundreds of dollars. It really depends. Again, the maker, the pattern, the style, that individual one is what you really need to find if you want to know what it is worth. So this is a First Lady Franz Peacock teapot. Absolutely beautiful. It sold for $150. Here it is up close. So you can see amazing, amazing detail and work on these. I did not know this brand until I did my first teapot video. So I'm glad I know it now so I can be on the lookout for them. And you can see on the bottom, this one is very, very clearly marked. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is gonna be the lowest I do on the teapot. If you have other items you would like me to do, I will tell you. Coming up, we are going to have some more research videos. You're going to see quite a few. And if you have subjects that you would like me to do, I prefer ones of items that I sell so that I'm familiar with them and at least have a good base when I go to look this stuff up on eBay, and I know if I see it out there or when I'm sourcing or online auctions. And if you're a collector watching this and want to know the value of yours, that is not a service I offer. However, you can go search on eBay. Again, the name, the pattern if you know it, and you can search sold listings and you will see what your exact item is selling for right now. For those of you that resell, I do not recommend doing an auction unless you see that your exact item is selling well on auction, or you know that brand is very, very popular right now. Otherwise, you could end up losing money. So always start your auction at the lowest price you are willing to take. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely give me a thumbs up. Let your friends know if you think they might be interested, and I will see you on the next one. Bye, guys.